NHL regular season recap, night 96, 11 games tonight because of the postponement of the Blackhawks and Sabres game. The first game tonight, though, between Dallas and Philadelphia, and this one ended up being a very strong performance from Philly. Morgan Frost, 2 assists, Owen Tippett, 2 goals, including the 5th goal of the game, which was an absolute beauty from him, a spinorama backhand bar down, similar to that of Malkin's from years and years ago. In the first, though, Sean Walker opens the scoring. In the second, it's both Owen Tippett and Tyler Seguin with the lone goal for the Stars. And then Atkinson, Lawton, and Tippett with his second of the game, all scoring in the third. Sam Ersson only faced 15 shots in this game, while Jake Ottinger was much busier, facing 43. He gives up 5 on those 43. Sam Ersson giving up 1 on the 15 he faced in a huge win for Philadelphia. The Avs visiting Boston, and this one was a really strong performance from the Bruins, but especially David Pastrnak. In the first, he opens the scoring, and then it's Lauko, Wood, and DeBrusk that make it 3-1 Bruins after 1. In the second, McKinnon gets his 24th of the season to cut the lead down to 1 headed to the third, where David Pastrnak gets 2 more goals, his 28th and 29th of the year, respectively. The second of those being an empty netter, the first on the power play. Jeremy Swayman, 30 of 32. Alex Georgiev, 26 of 30. Both goalies pretty busy. Jeremy Swayman just a bit better than Georgiev in this one. It's a strong win from the Bruins. They've been playing pretty well lately, and this is a huge win against a very, very strong Avs team that has also been playing quite well in the last 2 or 3 weeks. The Capitals hosting the Blues, and we have another hat trick in this one, this time coming from TJ Oshie, who not long ago came off IR. He has a huge game tonight, a goal in each period for him, coupled by a goal from Nathan Walker in the first, Nick Aube-Kubel in the second, and then both Dylan Strome and another from Nathan Walker in the third. It's a 5-2 win once again for Washington, improving to 5th in the Metro, 22, 15, and 6, while St. Louis stays stagnant at 6th in the Central, 21, 20, and 2. Jordan Binnington, 21 of 25, not his best night. Charlie Lindgren continues to be pretty good, a 900 save percentage, 18 saves on 20 shots for him in the winning effort. The Senators hosting the Canadiens, and they once again had an opportunity to blow a lead tonight, but they end up holding on to it. It's a final score of 6-2 in favor of Ottawa in a much-needed game. Not so much for the standing sake. Again, I think they're pretty much out of the playoffs at this point, but just for the sake of getting some damn momentum on their side. In the first period, it's Tkachuk and Stützle that both score. Cole Caulfield makes it 2-1 before the period wraps up in the second. Charche and Tarasenko make it 4-1 before Mateo Joseph and Parker Kelly both score in the third to make it 6-1. Michael Pezzetta adds one with just under 5 minutes to play, but way too little too late at that point. Caden Primo, the busier of the 2 goalies, he stops 31 of 36. Jonas Korpisalo with a pretty good little bounce back game here. 21 of 23 for him, plus the victory. 6-2 Senators. The Lightning taking on the Minnesota Wild, and the Wild opened the scoring in this one, and it was pretty much all downhill from there. Joel Eriksson gets things going. Victor Hedman ties it, and then that's how we end the first. In the second, it's Cirelli and Morella that both score for the Lightning, making it 3-1 early on. Marco Rossi scores about halfway through the period to cut the lead back to 1, but then it's Point that makes it 4-2. Middleton makes it 4-3, and then in the third, it's Stamkos, Asimon, and Cirelli, each scoring to make it a 7-3 final in favor of Tampa. Not a good night from Philip Gustafsson. Just 31 of 38 shots for him stopped. Vasilevsky goes 30 for 33, a much better performance from him in net for Tampa. It's a big win for the Bolts. They're still trying to climb back into things in the Atlantic. It's a crazy tight division for the Wild. They're slowly starting to see their playoff hopes fade. The West is just as tight as the East this year, and you really don't have room to give up points like they are in these games where they have a chance and then just completely blow it. Cough, cough, kind of like the Senators. The Sabres finally taking on the Chicago Blackhawks, and I think the night layover helped them out because the Blackhawks only got 19 shots tonight, and the Sabres win by a final score of 3-0. It's Girgensons, Peterka, and Dahlin with the 3 goals for Buffalo. Arvid Soderblom, 28 of 31. UPL goes 19 for 19 for his shutout and first star of the game performance. 2 teams kind of at the bottom of their respective divisions. Not really a ton of expectations on either side of this, but you'd think the Sabres probably deserve to win this game, and they do just that. So not really too much else to say about this one. It's an expected and needed victory for Buffalo, and for Chicago, they're that much closer to Macklin Celebrini in May or June. The Oilers hosting the Kraken in a battle between 2 teams just skyrocketing up the Pacific Division and really the Western Conference as a whole. In the first period, it looked really good for the Kraken. They were up 2-0 after 1, getting outshot by Edmonton 12-10, but really controlled a lot of the play, I thought. But in the second, the script completely gets flipped. It's Warren Fogle, Leon Draisaitl, and a second from Warren Fogle. He had a fantastic night. He was all over the ice. 12 penalty minutes in this one. Again, the 2 goals, just really being a menace out there in just the 14:52 he played. Leon Draisaitl with a goal and 3 assists in this game as well. In the third, Zach Hyman with his 27th of the year on the power play made it a 4-2 game, and that was where the final would stick. Joey Daccord still pretty respectable in this one, 32 of 36 and 889 save percentage. Stuart Skinner, the less busy of the 2 goalies, facing just 27 shots and giving up 2 on those for a 926. This is a really entertaining game. Both these teams have been playing very, very well, and it was a really good hockey game to watch. The Oilers come out on the better end of it, though, and continue to climb the Pacific, now in 4th at 25-15-1. The Flames hosting the Leafs in another game that saw a team go up 2-0 relatively early, that being Calgary, with Yegor Sharangovich and Nazem Kadri scoring 1 even strength and 1 on the power play. They're 19th and 16th, respectively. And from there, Auston Matthews kicks it into gear. He scores with a minute and a half left in the first to make it 2-1. 4 minutes into the second to tie the game at 2. Marner scores on the power play a few minutes after that to make it 3-2. And then Matthews gets the hat-trick effort completed with about 6 minutes to play in the second, making it 4-2. Mangiapane would score a relatively controversial goal. It looked like a kicking motion to me. I didn't end up watching what the ruling was. Obviously, this goal counted, but not sure exactly what the ref's explanation was for why it was considered not a kicking motion. I don't know if there was a stick on it beforehand. Whatever the case may be, it's 4-3 headed to the third, where we end up getting no more goals, surprisingly, and the Leafs hang on to a 4-3 victory. Dan Vladar and Martin Jones, the 2 goalies in this one. Jones goes 23 for 26 and 885 save percentage. Vladar continues to struggle a bit, 29 for 33 and 879. Hard to blame him on at least a couple of these Matthews goals, though. I mean, obviously one of the best shooters in the league, just not able to slow him down. It's a tough loss for the Flames, but a huge one for the Leafs, who had recently been kicked out of the divisional spot in the Atlantic. The Kings taking on the Predators in what was a pretty good goalie duel between UC Saros and Dave Riddick, of all people. And the Kings continue to struggle in this one. Just 3 goals, 2 from the Preds, of course, and 1 from LA. It's O'Reilly and Nyquist for Nashville. Drew Doughty on the power play for Los Angeles, but this Kings team just continues to struggle. For once, it's not their goaltending recently that's been the issue. It's the goal scoring, and of course, on a night your backup goalie's playing pretty well, you'd like to get more than 1 goal. Not the case tonight. It's a tough 2-1 loss for them. They're still 3rd in the Pacific, but Edmonton and Seattle both hot on their trail. Nashville improves to 25-19-1, 4th in the Central. They're still not out of things in the West by any means. Again, super tough conference. The Kings need to figure it out, or they're going to find themselves out of a playoff spot relatively quickly here. 2-1 final for Nashville. The Canucks hosting the Arizona Coyotes, and this game was tighter and more low-scoring than I really expected, despite the fact that Demko and Connor Ingram have both been really, really strong this year. In the first period, it's Pettersson and Travis Dermott with his first of the year that makes it 1-1 after 1. In the second, Dakota Joshua, who's been playing fantastic lately, makes it 2-1 Vancouver with less than a minute to play in the second frame, and we get no more goals in the third, which means it's a 2-1 victory for the Canucks, who improved to 30-11-4, good for first in the Pacific yet again. Demko goes 20 for 21, a really strong performance from him. Same can be said for Connor Ingram. He gives up 2 on 26. It's a 923 for Ingram, a 952 for Thatcher Demko, Tough loss for the Yotes. They play really competitive hockey against these top teams. I don't know that I expect them to make the playoffs, but it's been really fun to watch them to this point. For the Canucks, this is a much-deserved and much-needed victory over a team that, frankly, they should be beating 9 out of 10 times with the way they've been playing lately. The final game of the night, the Golden Knights taking on the New York Rangers in what frankly could be a Stanley Cup preview. Both of these teams have been playing fantastic, but lately slumping just a little bit. And Vegas snapped theirs tonight in a big way. They win by a final score of 5-1, absolutely abusing Igor Shesterkin. He goes just 21 for 25 and 840 save percentage, while Logan Thompson 29 for 30, a 967, the much better of the 2 goalies. In the first, it's Marchessault and Barbashev. In the second, Barbashev gets his second of the game on the power play, and Keegan Kolesar scores to make it 4-0. Zibanejad scores 40 seconds into the third to try to make things interesting, but they're not able to pot anything else past Logan Thompson. Brett Howden scores with a few seconds left to make it a 5-1 final. A great game from Barbashev, Nick Waugh, Chandler Stevenson looked great. Just an all-around solid effort from a Vegas team that's without Jack Eichel. A really impressive victory here in that over the Rangers. And that's going to be it for NHL regular season recap night 96. A pretty entertaining night, couple hat tricks, couple big games. It was a good night to watch hockey if you are indeed a fan. Hopefully you guys are a fan when there's only 4 games and none of them are very good, because that's the case tomorrow. So we'll talk to you guys then.